Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Mindset. Get yourself started. Now I'd like to go deeper into the means orientation, into the question, where do entrepreneurs start? Entrepreneurs start by assessing their own means, by understanding who am I, what do I know, whom do I know. This is really the starting point in order to get going. And every one of you can do that. Assess your own means. If you want to see that a little more specific, what you can do is, first of all, you ask these 3 questions, or you do an assessment. You ask yourself, what are your strengths? What are you good at? So really understand yourself, be honest to yourself. Then you reflect your means. In which context did you use your strength? Which skills and knowledge were required in these situations? And then you transfer the means into like an everyday situation. In which context do you want to apply those means? Which is the closest context for you to use your skills and knowledge? This is all for assessing your means, finding your own starting point. And this is what every successful entrepreneur does in an uncertain situation. He's not predicting the future, he's assessing himself. He's trying to understand, if I have a great idea, or even before I have an idea, what can I do by myself? How far can I get? We've seen before, if you can't get further, you look at partners who have different means, and you can use then to execute something further, but that's the next step. So the first step is understand yourself. And many entrepreneurial stories exactly start like that. I'd like to give you one of the stories, which is the so-called Freitag brothers. You might have heard about it. Freitag is actually their name, which means Friday in English, but they were called Freitag with the last name. And you might have seen those bags made of truck tarpaulins, and this is the story behind it. So these guys, and this is I think one of the Freitag brothers, they were actually designers, and they were working in an office, and they had a home, they were living together, and they lived in Switzerland, in Zurich, and in Zurich it sometimes rains, and they didn't have a car, so they were always taking the bicycles from home to work. And when it rains, it sometimes happened that all the things in their bags got wet. And they bought a new bag, but it didn't help. And so they thought about, well, we need bags that really can stand the rain. And you might imagine a situation where it rains very, very often and very hard. And from their flat, from their apartment, they were able to see a highway. And on the highway, they saw a lot of trucks. And they thought, trucks must have a solution for that, because nobody wants the goods in the truck being wet after the truck was going through heavy rains. So they thought about, what do these truck drivers or truck companies do with the tarpaulins later on when they don't use it anymore? Can we get them? So they asked, and they got old tarpaulins, and they washed it, which you can see over here, the washing machine. And then they took it and cut it into pieces and made basically bags out of that, which you can see over there. And this is how this company came into place. And this company is a very successful company, and you can see many, many people, especially in Europe, walking around with these bags, because these bags are very comfortable and nothing gets wet in the inside and so on. But the story was from their own means. It started with themselves. It started with their own problem. Remember, problem-driven, pain of a customer. It started with their own environment. They saw a solution outside the door on the highway, those truck tarpaulins, and they took it and they built something new. And this, what they built, it got really popular. And many people thought, that's a cool bag, I want to have one too. And this is where you can see a perfect story for entrepreneurs starting with themselves, starting with their own means. And they didn't raise a lot of money for that. They just talked someone into giving them their tarpaulin. And then they cut it back, and people wanted to have that back. And if you look at the tarpaulin, you can probably cut many bags out of one tarpaulin. So this is how they came into business. Now they do it on a different scale, but that's a different story. But at the very end, what you see is start with your own means, and then you can get a lot further.